Good afternoon, traders. It is Monday, July 28th, 2014. The U.S. stock market is closed. We weren't vindicated today, but we did make a little bit of money, and so I'm not really too unhappy. What happened this morning, I was a little surprised. Honestly, after Friday's close, I figured the Dow would probably go up after having really taken a drubbing on Friday. But this morning, the thing just fell out of bed right on the open, and at one point, I think we're pretty close to being down another 100 points with the Dow. But it bounced, and that's exactly what you would expect a bull market to do. And buyers came in and bid it up, and the Dow actually ended up closing up 22 points. So it did have a positive day, but it didn't start out that way. As a result, we did pretty good with the positions we had on the close Friday. Of course, we had nice positions on Friday. We had over $5,000 in open trade equity on Friday, and we ended up closing out positive $5,400 today. So we certainly held on to the good equity in those positions. The problem we had is this market was so churning today that we ended up getting in, I think, 7 new positions, and I think all of them are negative. And so we're carrying negative $2,800 going into tomorrow. Now, negative $2,800 isn't going to get me upset at all, but it's just when everything is negative, if the Dow dumps tomorrow, the overall market dumps, we could get really hurt, even though we're only holding 7 positions. With all of them negative, they're not going to get better in a negative market situation. The only thing is, I'm fairly optimistic tomorrow that we will see a continuance, possibly a strong continuance of the closing positive market today. Anyway, let's take a look at the charts. Okay, we're looking at the Dow here, and this is really an interesting chart. I have these 4 red lines that I've inserted, with the top one being the all-time highs, and the bottom being my first red line, which I would consider a resistance point. Well, on Friday, and if you saw my video from Friday, I'm very pleased with this. The Dow really sold off hard and ended up below this first red line, which I said really put us in a position to rally. And I did expect a rally on the open this morning. It did not happen. This thing tanked again. And as I say, I don't know exactly where we were when we were down at this very lowest point, but I think it was pretty close to being down 100 points, which would certainly be a very significant sell-off from where we started at the beginning of Friday. Anyway, but what happened, we get down here and the buyers really came in. This thing really rallied. I mean, this is quite a swing we're seeing here midday, and the close on the Dow is pretty darn close to the high. And notice that once it got above that red line, it did not want to go back below, and it didn't. It actually bounced a little on the last 15 minutes and closed above that for a positive close of plus 22. Anyway, what I see as significant here is I call this a bull spike down here. Right at the beginning of the day, this thing is driven down and buyers come in and they really bid this thing up. And I do not see it very likely that this thing is going to fail here and go back down and take out those lows. I think these are the lows of this big sell-off that we've seen the last couple days, and I see this market as being very well positioned now for a strong rally and go for these highs up here. So that's what I'm predicting. So even though we're carrying negative positions, 7 of them, I think we might get out of those okay. But what we need tomorrow is a rally. But I think we're positioned very well for a rally tomorrow. Anyway, I'll show you a couple charts. We had, I think, only 6 positions or so today, but here's, this was one of the kind of mediocre trades, but yet it helped. This was an Endeavor Silver. We had bought this on Friday, and we got out here. Unfortunately, it looked like we got out too soon. It would have been nice to have held this to the end, but our system basically says sell more or less midday if we're above the previous day's highs, and that is where we're at. So we got out of this, but we still made $1,000 on it. There was another trade, small trade, but it's nevertheless contributed to our positive equity in Triquint Semiconductors. We had a pretty decent trade there. But the big one for us, and I had showed you this on Friday, but I'll show you again because we got out today. This was in THC at Tenet Healthcare, and we had here, I'm sorry, I gotta squeeze this together a little. We had bought this on Thursday on a little pop-up here, and then we had this huge gap up on Friday when we're already into it, which is nice. And sometimes we're buying these gaps, which still would have made money for us, but it was nice to already have been in this trade when it gapped up on Friday. And this morning, right on the open, this thing really took off. And if I had a crystal ball and allowed myself to violate my system, I would have gotten out here. We were up about $7,000 when it was up here on the open, but we played the system, and we ended up getting out a little past midday here, but that was still good for $6,000. And this trade in Tenet Healthcare really carried us. So as a result of this, these 3 trades offset the losses, and we ended up closing out nearly $6,000 in closed out trades today. So that's the way it goes. Now it's a little bit shaky, but still positive for the day, and I am looking forward to tomorrow's trading action. This is Trader Bob signing off. I'll see you tomorrow on Tuesday.